Opinions on manual. Everyone seems to have one, but that doesn't mean that they're factual. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be taking out my manual Mustang GT out on a little drive and talking about manual for a little bit. With those things being said, let's go get a cold start up on this 5.0 V8. Oh yeah. Let's get on the road. Putting a little bit of heat into the motor, into the trans, into the clutch before we get started here. So some of these points are from my comment section. Some of them are just from genuine misconceptions I see from new drivers. Some of them are from other people who have told me, hey, a lot of people think this, you should add this to your video. So those are just a couple of points I want to go over real quick and kind of talk about the misconceptions of driving manual. Now, before I start, I want to say this. There are many ways to theoretically drive manual, right? You can drive with a clutch, you can drive without a clutch. You can downshift, you don't have to downshift. You can rev match, you don't have to rev match your downshifts. It really depends how you want to drive, but also it's really not that hard. Manual is not complicated. Manual is very simple once you get the hang of it. But for these points, most of them are for newer drivers or from people who just think that they know everything about driving manual. Now, I do not know everything about driving manual. I'm not claiming to be an expert here, but what I am trying to make this video about is the misconceptions that I see that I know are wrong. Starting off with the very first one is coasting in gear or in neutral. So let's say you're approaching a stop sign or rolling down a hill. I'm currently going down a hill. I'm not going to pop my car into neutral. Number one, because I'm not coming to a stop up ahead, but also because if I put my car into neutral and let it coast down the hill, you would think that the car gets better gas mileage rolling down the hill in neutral, but that would be incorrect. When you coast in gear, your car is going to get better gas mileage as a return. When you coast up to a red light, a stop sign, do not put your car into neutral. Right? There's a thing called engine braking. When your car is in gear, it's going to slow itself down faster than the friction on the road would slow yourself down if you were in neutral. Basically, what I'm trying to say is leave your car in gear while you approach a stop, because not only will you save your brakes, but you will also save your gas and get better fuel economy. Now, approaching a stop. I'm currently approaching a stop sign. I'm in fourth gear. I'm going to blip my throttle, put my clutch in, and go up a gear, go from fourth to third, because what that does is engine brake the car. The car is already engine braking itself while it's in fourth gear, but to increase that engine brake, to make the car slow down even more, even faster with engine braking, is to make the car go from fourth to third, increasing your RPMs. Basically, that's the act of downshifting, going from a higher gear to a lower gear. That is what downshifting is, right? So when you downshift, you engine brake the car more. You use a little bit of gas when you do blip your car, blip the throttle into going into a higher gear, but it's honestly pretty minimal. It's a minimal amount of gas that you burn, and as long as you rev match correctly, you're not going to be burning any clutch. But also something to think about is you're going to be saving your brakes because you don't have to use your brakes as much. In certain circumstances where I know I have to slow down or I see a red light and I engine brake just a little bit, like ahead, right now I see a red light, so what I'm going to do is go from fourth to third, already start slowing down. There's not really anyone behind me. I'm not impeding traffic in any way. I'm simply just slowing down for the stop, and I won't have to use my brakes until I'm pretty close to it. So I barely have to use my brakes at all, and I only downshifted from fourth to third, and it's not like I'm putting a ton of wear on my clutch. So that's 2 points in one, basically. You're going to get better fuel economy when you're in gear, when you coast in gear, compared to when you coast in neutral. The second point is downshifting and rev matching does not put a ton of wear on your clutch as some people like to think. As well as that, downshifting and engine braking saves your brakes. A quick intermission real quick. Alright, back to the video. The next point is about skipping gears. Modern day cars have synchros. Because you have synchros, you can skip gears. You can go from second to fourth. You can go from sixth to third if you want to. You don't have to go from sixth to fifth to fourth to third in order to make those downshifts and go slower. You can skip the gears if you want to. And along with that is double clutching. Double clutching no longer applies to modern day transmissions. What double clutching is, for those who do not know, is the act of going from one gear to the next, but instead you have to push your clutch in twice. So an example of a double clutch would be, I'm in third gear right now. In third gear, what I would do if I wanted to double clutch my transmission would be clutch in, neutral, let go of the clutch, clutch back in, go into fourth. That's a double clutch. You don't need to do that in modern day transmissions anymore. You see the Fast and Furious where it was the beginning of 2001 where they were like double clutching, like, you know, whatever the line was that Dominic Toretto said to Paul Walker. It was like double clutching, not like you should be or something like that. Don't know it off the top of my head, I should though. But even back then, you don't have to double clutch the car. Double clutching kind of no longer is a thing in these modern day manual transmissions. Another misconception is that you have to use your clutch to shift from gear to gear. You do not have to use your clutch to shift from gear to gear, and you can do it without grinding. It is called floating gears. I am not going to do it because the MT82, let's just say I do not trust to float gears with. You do not have to. Do not have to use your clutch to shift from gear to gear. The next point I would like to make is leaving first gear. You don't have to use your gas pedal while leaving first gear. Some people do not believe that, but I'm gonna do it right now. So I'm going to not touch my gas and leave this stop sign. So, not touching my gas, you can hear the car start to rev up. And just like that, I'm off my clutch and rolling onto the gas. You guys can probably hear my car and hear that I'm not applying gas. When you heard the RPM start to go up, that's when the clutch started to engage with the transmission and push the car forward. Now this one, if you don't listen closely, some of you will disagree with, but if you listen to what I have to say, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Automatics are not always faster than manuals. Now hear me out. Modern day dual clutch systems, modern day transmissions are insanely quick, and there's no way that a human can keep up with those. But a car like a newer first generation Subaru BRZ, that car's manual is faster. Any older car, the manual is going to be faster, unless obviously you shift like grandma and you don't really know how to drive yet. But once you can drive a manual semi-efficiently, the manual is going to be faster. Manual is not always slower. Something to keep in mind. The last point I would like to make is some people say that manual is pointless, manual is hard to drive, and they simply do not want to go through the extra steps. Manual is very easy to drive. Once you understand the basics, you apply them and get a little bit of practice, it's very simple and straightforward. All it is learning how to use the clutch and getting out of first gear properly, and once you do that, you can advance and start learning how to downshift and rev matching downshifts. It's not hard whatsoever, and once you know how to drive manual, it doesn't become a thing where it's like, oh, I have to drive manual today. It's second nature. I hop on my cars, I push the clutch in, and I just drive. And that's how a lot of manual drivers are. It's not an extra step, because once you learn how to do it, it's automatically programmed into your head. You automatically know what you're doing, and you hop into a manual car, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Let's drive. And that's simply how it is. Once you're learning, it is a little hard, and some people do give up while learning. But if you continue to practice and really get the feel of the clutch, you'll understand how to drive manual. And there you have it, guys. Those are a couple common manual misconceptions that I see. Manual is really fun. I love driving manual. I have 3 manual cars currently, and I hope I never have to see a day where I don't have at least 1 manual car in my garage. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If it's helped you out, leave me a like. But if you want to learn how to drive manual and you don't know how to drive manual, check out a video here on how to drive manual. If you guys want to learn how to downshift, check a video out here teaching you guys how to downshift. That's all I have, and I'll see you guys in the next video.